Hello, everyone. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Jennifer Pereira, who is a women's coach and teacher, healer, and psychedelic guide. Yesterday, Jennifer and I had a wonderful conversation that we'd love to pick up on and share with all of you around how we're all adapting in these changing times in the face of COVID-19 as many of our businesses transition to an online format and platform, and the learning curve that we're all going through as a result of it. Yesterday, when you and I chatted, you had mentioned that at the end of your workday, you experienced this sense of depletion after using an online format that you found taxing. And you and I have, we think the last time we got together, it was a few months ago for sushi, or maybe it was longer than that. And you felt that the face-to-face would have given you a different access in how you relate to people and how you relate to the verbal cues, body language, energetic reading, your gifts as a guide and women's coach. So when I asked you, well, what would be different if I was sitting in front of you physically versus face-to-face on screen, you gave me some wonderful feedback. And then you experienced this beautiful moment yourself where you, in your self-reflective state, you were like, learning curve. I can do this. So share with us for that, because that was just so fascinating to me to see that light bulb moment for you, as I'm sure everyone is experiencing right now with the changes.
Yes, thanks, Eileen. And it's so, it's always such a pleasure to chat with you because I think there's such a natural cadence to our riffing in the stream of consciousness. So it's you as well asking really powerful questions that I think allows for that to really come through. And when we were on the point about what's the difference with the in-person connection versus being on the tech platform all day, what was coming up for me was coherence. So it's just like that. The body's innate and intuitive ability to process the environment around it, but also read off of the person in front of us. So right now on a tech platform, I feel like my body is energetically stretching itself a little bit further to really know what's going on with the other person. So I'm like having to just stretch the physical self, like the energetic self, all of it, the intuitive ability, because I've, as you said, I've lost the body language. The tone of voice, it comes through, but it's a microphone, it's digitized, right? Is that really, am I picking up on every nuance there? The eye contact is lost in like a really direct way, right? We try to maintain direct eye contact, but it's difficult on the online platform. And I just don't feel that this way of communicating really is recharging on the nervous system. I feel like there's a constant output. And so I have to go and regenerate and replenish and nourish elsewhere, which is fine because we want to be energy responsible as guides, as teachers, as healers, and maintain, our power and our integrity within us. We're not ever taking energy from anyone, but because there isn't the two-way coherence, that resonance isn't happening within our electrical field, I'm not one with the environment. It's like the tech platform is taking from me, it puts it into the abyss, up to a satellite, streams it to you. I don't know what happens in the latency where my sentient self gets lost in that translation, right? And is then processed to you as a digitized form. So where I go inside that we can't even really perceive it, right? There's an ineffable stream of this data transfer that's happening. And I just feel that I can feel it depleting me. I do. I feel it depleting me.
You had a moment yesterday where when I asked you, well, what other access point might be available for you to create that similar kind of connection? Like, let's say, we have 2 arms, 2 legs, and you lost a limb, and then your proprioceptive intelligence gets shifted into the other limb with more sensitivity in the other limb. And when you felt into that, I saw something like, feelers go out and something happened. And it was beautiful to watch. Tell us about that.
What was the example that you gave? It was so beautiful. If you lost your right arm or your hand, what would you do, right? I think that's what you said.
Yes. Yeah.
I sat with that for a couple seconds. Maybe it was even like an awkward silence. And I was like, no, I'm gonna take up space with this because I think this is really important for the collective consciousness to recognize that we would adapt. And I sat there and I went, I would adapt. And it was like, oh, this is growing pains. This is growing pains.
Yes.
The safety, the usual litmus tests that we have for the body are just being challenged right now. The cells are being forced to grow outside of what they know. And we
Wow.
adapt. And I trust the evolutionary process and I trust our biology that we would. And it was that moment. So thank you for creating that space of acknowledging that it's really uncomfortable in all of the prior. Like it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The pre-adaptation is very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And yet you're a living example of, in that discomfort, when we lean out a little bit beyond the known,
yeah,
something shows up for us. Like, wow. Pretty cool. That when we're in the unknown and we're genuinely curious, as you were, the next opportunity that will help us figure it out somehow shows itself.
Mm-hmm. Because
Yeah.
we're always trying. We're always trying. Is just remembering that or knowing that in the moment when our nervous system is doing something else. Right? If I know my nervous system and my electromagnetic field as a body extends outside of itself, it's looking for data. It's looking for information that tells it it's safe and that it can continue processing and interacting. And this environment is unknown, so therefore everything is unsafe. So it then takes a conscious effort. It's being consciously awake to continue to move forward into the unknown. And right now, what we're seeing is people really struggling with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you said something quite lovely yesterday, which I quoted, the future is feminine and it is sentient. Mm-hmm. What are your your words of encouragement, of reassurance around this, this deeply rooted understanding of feminine sentient for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, that thought, that stream of consciousness and that download actually came to me in a very powerful vision that I've had in the past. And it was around people being triggered with the phrase, the future is female. And feeling that was like a feminist agenda somehow. And I sat with that one for a while because I wasn't even sure my own comfort level or my own understanding of that. Like I wanted to be supportive of it, but I felt like I didn't really get it. And then it didn't take too long, but eventually, it did sink in that it's like, as we are evolving, I'm just noticing that our adaptation is that sentience and that feeling is a new resource that we're going to place significant value on, that we're not seeing value on right now. We're just not simply, comfortable in assigning value to it. So the ability to feel or move through the world in an intuitive way or a different processing, being sentient, right? So sensory perception and the value that we're placing on that. So when we say the future is female or the future is feminine, I don't think that it's women or gender driven. I think that it's sensory, that it's feeling driven.
You talked about value in that feeling driven way that the feminine shows up. And you talked about it as an actual resource, like a tangible resource, the way hard cash is a tangible resource. And yesterday when I shared with you that I miss one of my sons who's not at home with me right now due to the COVID-19 and just other circumstances, that I missed him. And you were like, the resource of that nurturing connection, that's something that is tangible and as real as any other kind of resource that sustains us, like food, shelter, clothing. And that although this resource hasn't been monetized historically, its value as a resource is invaluable. So I think that is such a great way for women to take power back and realize their value in
emotional labor is work.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Emotional labor is work. Keeping it together for your family is work. Knowing all the right things to say despite feeling fear is work. Just all of that, like that's work for sure. The example that you gave was really beautiful because you had like tangible physical resources to compare against and like what it's like to for your son to favor some of the other resources. And I think this is just, you know, where we're going as a collective, and maybe we're not there yet. But it's fine. It's exciting, and I think that whether it's COVID or whether it's other um, systematic reviews, I'm going to call it a review because I think it's an opportunity to look at
Yes.
how we're operating as society.
Yeah.
Um, as a lot of the structures that we thought we could rely on, you know, such as banking, let's use banking as an example, are they really there for the common and average person that is holding up the economy? We're seeing that that's not the case, right? And with the amount of information that we have available now, I feel that the collective is going to come together and begin to look at other alternatives more seriously than we've done at any other time in society. And why I bring that up is because things like the feeling, the nurturing, and I think we went a lot deeper on this piece yesterday. But things like that are going to come to the forefront. We have to start to see that community and togetherness and a return to some of our more ancestral ways. There was a way that everyone was provided for in the past in different forms. And people are always going to be left out. I completely recognize that. There's always going to be systematic oppression. Every time there's a system, there will be oppression. But I think that we're looking at that a lot more seriously, and these crises provide beautiful opportunity for that to be done. And skills and work and labor that we're not currently valuing because of money, well, if money itself is less valuable, then what? So that's the thing, right? It's like, what are we going to value as a society moving forward?
We've got the opportunity to redefine value, yeah.
Mm.
And the historic monetizing of different kinds of resources and non-monetizing of other kinds of resources. We're redefining monetary versus non-monetary. It does not necessitate value. Yeah, beautiful. Any last words to share, Jen? People can reach out to you if they want one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, you know,
Building up.
at this particular time, I know that there's so much fear and anxiety that is rippling through the consciousness and through our globe, right? And I think that there is a lot of reassurance in knowing that we are in it together, that this is a global pandemic, and so, you know, the person in the home next to you is probably riding a very similar wave.
Yep.
At the same time, that doesn't necessarily put food on the table, and I think that's the next step, is like, how are we coming together as community to solution that and be part of the conversation and innovation, really, to get everyone resourced in a way that makes sense for them. So I love those conversations. I'm all about any technological advancement that we can do, you know, or the human connection. If anyone wants to chat about that, I'm here. I'm also here, you know, for whether it's one-on-one sessions, any other type of support that I can offer, people can reach out and just let me know how I can be of service.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Eilina.